What's good, YouTube? Brian here, back again today with another video, and today we are talking about this bad boy. This is the new NRX Plus 872S. So first off, I got to give a shout out to Omnia. They supplied me with this rod. Now these rods right now are really hard to find, especially in the popular models like the 852S, 872S, the 894, the 893, like the really popular models of the NRX Plus. Like, they're slowly trickling out to dealers. When they get them, they kind of fly out. Supposedly there's better stocking coming later this month, in the future. But my suggestion would be to, like on Omnia's website, you can set up an alert, like have a little email that shoots out when they get these in stock. I had that set up, and they actually got a handful of these 852Ss in on stock. I got the alert, I quick snatched one up, and we're good to go. So anyway, shout out, I got this from Omnia. I just want to give them some props. Now, let's talk a little bit about the NRX Plus. I know there's been a lot of videos out there on YouTube already. Most of the videos out there on YouTube right now are from Shimano-sponsored anglers. So the reviews and whatnot are really just kind of promotional videos about all the technology and all the new stuff. So I've actually had this rod for a couple weeks now. Actually, I don't know, maybe 2 weeks. I've actually used this rod. I took it out and used it during a tournament recently. I've gotten some time on this rod. I don't think it's really world changing versus the original 852S, which I put a ton of time on. So I'm going to try and cover a couple things in this video. I'm going to cover what's new in the rod, what do I like about it, what I wish they would have done about it, and then how does it compare to the old 872S. And I think a key question a lot of people are wondering is, if you have the old NRX rods, like we're just going to talk about the spinning rods. I have not I don't own any of the NRX Plus casting rods yet, so I'm just going to keep this discussion strictly to the spinning rods. The question is, if you have the old version, should you go out and pick up the new one? I know if you're shopping for these, you can only pick up the new one. You can't really get the old one unless you look on the used market. But anyway, so we're going to try and answer that question. So let's talk about the new rod real quick. Now, when the NRX Plus was teased and everyone was talking about it, a lot of people had high hopes. They were hoping that, oh, they're going to get towards that guide train. The rods are going to be lighter. They're going to have new, maybe some new tech in them. And this is the end result. This is the product we got. So what did we get with the NRX Plus? It's been over a decade since G.Loomis has refreshed the NRX line. What did they decide to do? Well, what they decided to do was to go into the Shimano pantry and raid the pantry and pull a bunch of Shimano technology and Shimano parts and throw it at the NRX. So the NRX doesn't have any new G.Loomis technology. They just raided and grabbed a bunch of stuff from the Shimano shelf, which is great. I don't think that's I mean, if you're owned by Shimano, why wouldn't you go and take some of their technology and bring it into rods if it's already out there and available? So the end result of that is a couple things. Number one, let's talk about the handle. So this is the biggest change to all the spinning rods is this is the old handle, right? Pretty plain. This was one that G.Loomis designed themselves. They've been using it for years. It's nothing fancy. This is the handle off of the Shimano Conquest. So they took the same exact parts from this is a Conquest 842S. So they took the exact same parts, the same handle, the same cork, same everything from the Shimano Conquest, and they brought it over into the NRX. Now, this I'm going to give them this is going to be a point to the win column. So I'm going to chalk this up to the win column that they went with this grip. This plastic right here is Shimano CI4 Plus. The cork on this is actually fantastic. It's from what I can tell, it's the same cork that's on the Conquest. So to me, this is a major upgrade. This is a win. They didn't redesign the handle. They didn't bring back the old handle. They just used the tried and true handle off the Conquest. Now, this handle particularly fits my hand perfectly, especially when I'm choking up. If you look at my 852 or my 842S Conquest review, and you'll know how much I love this grip and this handle. So, new handle on all the spinning rods, but it's not new. It's just they took the Conquest parts, threw it on the NRX, which is great. I think that's a plus. So now you don't have to buy a Conquest to get the Conquest grip. Cool. Number one, the other big improvement they made is they took the blanks and they added Spiral X. So any video you watch on the NRX, they're going to talk about Spiral X and how it's amazing, and they're going to go in and on about Spiral X marketing material from Shimano. I'm not going to do that. You can go watch a million other NRX review videos and hear that. Essentially what Spiral X is they take the blank, then they wrap one piece of tape in one direction down the blank with no gaps, then they put a cover over that, then they wrap the tape again the opposite direction, so it forms like an X, back down the blank. Now, what Spiral X actually does in real life is it makes this blank a little stiffer and it bounces back a little faster. So one of the big differences that I could tell when I'm playing with these two in my house and I'm casting around with these on the water is this new version is a little more rigid. This rod is a little softer and bouncier and whippier than this one. When you push these two down on the floor or you push the tips down, this tip 100% snaps back faster. It's just true. I mean, I was playing with these over and over in my basement and just messing around with these. This is a little more spongy. This thing is a little stiffer. So the action between the two 872Ss, the old and the new, is a little different. It's not night and day difference, but is 100% noticeable. So with the Spiral X technology, this blank wants to just spring back to its normal position, its straight position, a little quicker and a little snappier. So a little more rigidity in this rod than this rod. Does this rod bad because it doesn't do that? No, absolutely not. This is a fantastic rod. So the old 872S is just it's a little more, it's mildly spongier and a little more noodly than the rod with the Spiral X. Now, you're going to get confused when you see Spiral X and High Power X. Two different technologies. Some Shimano rods only have High Power X, like the Zodius and the X Pride. Some Shimano rods have just the Spiral X, like the NRX and the Poison Adrena. And some rods have Spiral X and High Power X, like the Conquest. I think the Poison Glorious and Poison Ultimas as well. So the High Power X, if you're confused on this, is the really glossy, super rigid finish, like this really bulletproof, awesome finish that you can see these X's wrapping around. That's the High Power X. The NRX does not have that. So the NRX still has a relatively raw and unfinished blank, but the characteristics of this blank, like you can run your hand along the Spiral X blank on the NRX, and you can actually feel the tape. Like there's little bumps and little ridges where you can actually feel that tape going up and down the blank. Whereas the blank on the old NRX is completely 100% smooth. There's no crisscross tape on this. It's just raw graphite blank. So that's just something to note, that the Spiral X is there. It does make a difference on the blank. Is it better? Sure, I guess. It allegedly takes the twist and the torsion out of the rod when you're casting, or when you set a hook on a fish and you're fighting a fish, the rod doesn't want to bend and twist as much as it would on the old one. Now, for actual fishing applications and day-to-day use, are you going to notice a big difference between Spiral X and the old regular NRXs? Highly unlikely. So, but you are getting different technology, and they did make the upgrades with Spiral X to the blank. So far, G.Loomis, they said, we're going to take Spiral X that's on the Poisons and in the Conquest, and we're going to put the Spiral X tape procedure onto the NRX blank. We're going to take the Conquest grips and the parts out and throw it onto the spinning rod. Also, one thing to note, the grips on the, I'm pretty sure the grips on the casting rods are the same grips that are on the Conquest casting rod. So basically, they just took a bunch of stuff from the Conquest, except for the High Power X, and brought it down, well, in the guides, and brought it down to the NRX. So let's talk about the guides. So the guide train between the old one and the new one is essentially the same. Still has titanium, Fuji, SIC. I did notice that the rec guides, though, on the new rod are mildly different. They must just use a slightly more updated version. The differences are really, really minute and not even really worth talking about. But the guides, when you get to the rec guide section of the new rod, there's some little differences. One of the big differences to me, and I actually kind of like this, is if you notice, you have the signature NRX blue tape up right. You got the label section, one guide with the blue tape, and then it is black tape now all the way up the blank. So on the old rods, it was the signature NRX blue tape all the way on every single guide. Why is this great? In my opinion, well, when you break a guide, and I've broken a rec guide on my 873, when you break a guide, most shops can replace these guides because these are just regular Fuji SICs and regular rec guides. Most shops, you don't have to send your rod into G.Loomis to have a guide fixed. Most rod shops can fix these. But one thing that rod shops can't get is this custom proprietary tape color for the thread. So, I'm sorry, the thread color, not tape color, the thread. So this thread, this blue thread, shops can't get this exact blue. It's a G.Loomis thing. They have the color exclusive to them. They can get blues that are very similar. So on my 873, I had a guide replaced. The shop was like, hey, are you cool with the blue on this being just a little different than the rest of the blue? Because we can't get the blue from G.Loomis. I was like, yeah, I don't care. So point is, now on the new rod, it's all just straight black. So if you do go to a shop and you have them fix or repair a guide, they can just use regular black tape, and your rod's not going to have one guide that's a little slightly different hue blue than the rest of them. I like that. So I can see why they did it. Maybe that's why they did it, so rod shops can make repairs to the rods and not have to have a weird color tape. I don't know. I'm guessing that's why, but it is different. So you're not getting that signature blue tape look all the way up the blank. You're just getting it on the first one. So let's talk about the weight. So the old NRXs, this rod weighed at 3.57 ounces. This one weighed at 3.36. So they shaved a little bit of weight off of this rod compared to the old one. Now, do you notice that 0.2 ounces in your hands? Not at all. I can't feel the difference whatsoever. They're both extremely light. So they did shave weight off, so these are lighter, but you're not going to be able to tell the difference. I can't tell the difference. I switch hands, keep switching around. I don't know if you can physically feel the difference of 0.2 ounces. But hey, shout out to G.Loomis for shaving some weight off, making an already extremely light rod even lighter. So in the plus column, the new Conquest grips, the Spiral X, which definitely changes the blank characteristics versus the old version. Some lighter weight. In the negatives, you still got the same old guide train. They didn't go to Torzite. I mean, really, when you're going up to the Conquest now, the two big things you're getting with the Conquest over the NRX is the High Power X plus the Spiral X. You're getting that combo of both of the X technologies, and you're getting the full Torzite guide train, and these things are also ridiculously light. So anyway, that's basically it. Oh, they moved the hook keeper down to the butt, which a lot of people don't like. I personally don't like. I wish they kept it up here. I don't like the hook down there because when you're grabbing your rod out of the rod locker or whatever, you're grabbing line, and I don't like it. I know a lot of people don't like it, but it is what it is. Steez, they put their keeper down there. A lot of companies do. So now overall, I think the rod's great. Am I happy with all the upgrades? Sure. I think they did as much as they can do to this thing without doing anything radical. What they essentially did was taken technology that was already available to them through Shimano, slapped it on this rod. They didn't do anything revolutionary. They didn't do anything super new. They kind of just said, hey, big brother Shimano, can we just dip into your toolbox a little bit, grab some of your technology? Since you already have these processes and everything is proven, let's drop this down into the NRX. They did it, and boom, here's your new NRX Plus. So I think the Plus marketing on this is fitting because it's still the NRX. The plus is they just added some additional bonus features from their buddies at Shimano. So last question to answer is, if you have the old NRX, should you go out and upgrade to the new one? I don't think so. Now, I think I'm still really happy with this particular rod. I don't think you're getting enough. You're getting 0.2 less ounces. You're getting a better grip, and you're getting the Spiral X, which is in day-to-day real-life applications. I don't think it's really going to make that much of a difference compared to using the old one. So if you have old ones, I don't think you need to rush out and just upgrade and grab all new ones. But if you're buying the new ones, you are getting better rods. You're getting the slightly better grips. Well, I'd say a lot better grips. You're getting that Spiral X. You're getting a little bit of weight savings. And, you're getting the latest, greatest. So, but if you still have the old ones, don't feel like you're missing out. I don't think this is enough of an upgrade or enough of revolutionary changes to really make these obsolete. These are still phenomenal rods. You're still going to get really good value selling these things on aftermarket. I've noticed a lot of people are selling these things in that $425 to $460 range and having no problem selling them at that price. I think these are still going to be classics. No one's going to be just throwing these in the dumpster anytime soon. Still some of the best rods of all time. So the supply on the NRX Plus is really bad right now. So even if you want to go out and get a bunch of these, it's going to be tough. So all the current NRX owners out there right now, don't feel FOMO about these. They're cool, but they are not like, oh my god, these things are trash now. It's just they took the old one, they raided the kitchen at Shimano, threw a couple things on here, and then remarketed it as a new rod. So anyway, that's my full-on in-depth review of the new NRX Plus. If you have any more questions, let me know. I'm going to try and get my hands on an NRX Plus 873 so I can compare that to my old 873. I know there's a whole bunch of new model NRXs, like the new MBRs. So hopefully I'll get my hands on a couple of these rods down the line. But for now, I'm going to keep using the crap out of both of these. I was thinking like I should have sell this one to pay for this one or whatever, but I'm like, why not just have it 2 872Ss? So these are such versatile rods and they do a lot of cool stuff. I'm just keeping these. They're both running Shimano Xsense 3000 or 4000s. Oh, last thing I want to touch on is the balance point. So the balance point on the new one is about a quarter or maybe even a little less, quarter of an inch further back. So the balance on this guy is mildly, slightly better than the balance on the old one with the exact same reel. It's not that big of a difference. It's literally like maybe just slightly less than a quarter inch further back on the handle on this guy. So if you're worried about balance, this thing technically does balance better, but it's so minor that I don't think you're really going to notice a difference. So I would say that the NRX Plus is aptly named. That is a minor, well, you could say it's a significant upgrade versus the old one because you do have a new handle. They did redo the blank with the Spiral X. So technically this rod did get a full reboot. It's just that they didn't do anything. They didn't make anything new. They didn't do any new technology. They just took the stuff that's already available, which I've already said like 100 times. So if you're still watching this by the end of this video, you're probably like going, why is he still rambling? So anyway, that's the end of the video. Thank you for watching. Hit like and subscribe. And if you're not following me on Instagram, you should be. I'm at Punch Fishing. So we'll see you next time. Take it easy, everybody.